hello.
Good afternoon.
All right, it's Kon Dan. The band is back with a part 2 of our personal ultimate tier list.
That's it.
It's not really ultimate of all time, and everyone is going to agree with that. But you saw our discussion last week. We're going to continue from that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Who is in the chat today? We've got John, Paul P, Simon Ma, Roy Bigsby, Jakub Rigetti, Warren Devine. Let's see who else is here. Andre Senna. That's your Brazilian
name,
friend,
yeah.
You know, so yeah, he keeps asking us questions. Andre, fantastic to see you. Who else is here? David Liu, Rolf Tor, all the high angler, David Liu. David, Harman Phoenix 2 has been announced, and it's also available in medium format. So
there we go.
That's what it is. I haven't shot one yet. I only shot the 35mm one, and that's literally, I had to shoot everything in an hour. So I went for my lunch, I shot the roll, I came back, said, guys, I'm going to take a mark shots of you, and that's what happened. So I got Colin Murphy, Colin Brummer, Simon Hopkinson, Andrew Haiti in the chat, Paul PJ, Blue, Pete Gazzola, fantastic, Terence Silent.
Wow.
First of all, what I want to ask you is, first of all, please give the stream a like, because we would really appreciate if you do. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, it means a lot to us when you subscribe. My goal for the end of the year is hit the 30K, 30,000 subscribers, because this is a magic number.
Magic number.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because once you go to 30K, apparently life just gets better.
Oh, yeah, that's...
It's
written.
Google calls you and say, like, here's the bag of money, so that's
how it goes.
Absolutely.
Help us out, guys.
Exactly. Dan is here, so you've met Dan already. So he's our sales manager. He knows all the sales. So when he tells you the camera is good, it means it sells well, probably.
Probably. Something like that.
Coffee Fund is open. I'm going to actually have a coffee now. Because third coffee is always important. Let's talk about cameras. So last week we've ended up on DSLRs.
That's right.
And some of you asked us to actually show us the graphic for longer than 5 seconds. So we've prepared the graphic up to date, and then we're gonna talk mirrorless cameras. So we're gonna put things in there while we're talking, and then we will try to upload this graphic later on. So let me share the graphic with you, what we've ended up with. So if I remember how to do this. Hopefully you can see it all. In the meantime, while the graphic is going up, I'm just going to see what people say in the chat. So Paul P says, hi everyone, for me, the only possible upgrade for G850 was to pre-order a Z9, now using firmware 5.1. We're on already version 5 of firmware. Can you imagine that? And its functions have grown dramatically. Focus, subject recognition, pre-capture. Now, Paul, the question is really, is the Z9 goes to superb list? Is it the ultimate camera, or is it something else? Is a lot of you bought a Z9 because it was first camera in that generation, and then some of you maybe traded in towards Z8 or Z6 III? This is a very interesting question to discuss, because I think Z9 should go on S list or A list, but where it's at. So I want to know your opinion about this. We will come back to it.
We'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so Simon says, have a great show. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mirrorless for 1 hour. Can you imagine that? We feed everything else in the previous hour. Rick Gates says, happy Friday, Kon and Dan and everyone else. Packing for 2 weeks trip to Iceland right now, trying to figure out the cameras to take. On my list is my Mir 7, Nikon F6, Nikon Z7, and 35 Ti. It's stuck in film. That's a fantastic hashtag here. So my Mir 7, hopefully it's treating you well. I know you had a bit of a problem there. Get a spare batteries for all your film cameras, just in case. But I think you got a good setup here. You got medium format film, 35mm film, and then you got full frame camera, and also point and shoot.
It's a pretty good camera bag for a little trip.
I think so. I think so. You probably need to get someone to carry it all for you. That's another thing, So I generally try to. I used to take digital camera with me on holidays together with film. And then
Stop
about
now.
2 years ago, I've just decided to, it's like, I'm just going to go film, see what happens.
It takes a lot of space. I used to do that as well. Try to take a digital and a film camera, but I always end up using the film camera, so what's the point?
I think so, yeah. And the thing is, I think there's an argument for having DSLR if you want to keep digital camera, because you then can take your, let's say, Nikon F6 or let's say a small F80 or FM3A and your DSLR camera that take F-mount lenses. And that way you can share the set of lenses. Because the problem is, if you go with mirrorless cameras now and then your Nikon film cameras, they're two different set of lenses.
Yeah, you need an adapter, just extra space, you know.
Exactly.
It can be difficult, but yeah, if you're taking a big suitcase, I don't know.
I mean, another option is, of course, you get your mirrorless camera, you put FTZ adapter on.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't look as sexy as just a native F-mount DSLR, but
it works.
It works, exactly. So yes, I think when I went to States, I had my ZF in a backpack. That was last March. It was. And I never used it, but I had it with me.
Yeah.
And just in case, exactly. So, you know, it is what it is. All right. So we've got Warren who says, good morning from Indiana. Favorite Nikon film cameras, F2, F3, FM3A. Functional works of art and design. Absolutely. So FM3A, as you can see on the list, it's our ultimate camera. It's S tier. Joined together with F6, D850, D700.
Wow, okay.
And D500.
I think I still agree with what we did last week. Haven't changed my mind yet.
Haven't changed your mind yet. Okay, so obviously I think D850 is the ultimate DSLR. That's the explanation for this. D700 was amazing camera at the time. It obviously came out just after D3, but it was a lot more affordable for a low focus and smaller and lighter compared to D3.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why it's up there. And obviously D500, there's a reason why people are asking for D500 replacement, don't you think? And that's the reason why it's there. But we've got FM2 and F3 in the A tier, F100 because I said so, and a D780 in the list. Now we have an F tier camera there.
Yes, we do. So far, there's only one.
Yes, I put G1 in there, right? But it's the whole Nikon One system. And I'll tell you why. Because it's very simple, really. They were good cameras. They were functional cameras, but they came out before our mirrorless system. And there was a Nikon bet on saying, we're going to release a 2.7 crop camera, and you're going to love it. And the moment I saw it, it was that to me on arrival, personally, you know. So functional cameras, great cameras. A lot of people put like 600 mil on it, and with 2.7 crop, you can shoot the moon with it and all this. So you know, absolutely. But at the same time, there's a reason why they were discontinued pretty much within 2 to 3 years, and it's the reason is that us photographers didn't like it. It sold apparently really well in Asia and Europe, not so much in North America and UK, but it wasn't enough to justify for them to continue producing those cameras. So it goes on our F list, F tier. So
if we had a G tier, we put it there, but we don't. That's
right. So I think there's too many tiers, to be honest with you. We should have probably designed like maybe 5 out of 7 or something like this. But that's fine. Can you see in the list here, we now have those crowns things. What are those things? Do you know?
You tell me. You're the YouTube king.
I don't know much.
Super chat or what?
You see, I'm always a YouTube king for an hour because I only tune in 5 minutes before the live stream and I tune out of this. So that's the thing. But
it's quite impressive, actually, the way we did this in 2 minutes before it goes live.
What have you guys done? You were looking for your notes as well from the last week as well, which is was quite fun. All right, so let's see more of your comments and then we move on to our mirrorless discussion. So I'm going to go back. So you saw our list. Let's go back to the original image. Roll Thor says D850 always is on my tier list. It is A tier. So Ian Mooson says, I can watch live for the first time for a few weeks. Thank you very much for joining us. I was going to say sunny Nottinghamshire, but the clouds have appeared. Apparently it's going to rain tonight. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, it's going to shut down. We kind of need the rain, to be honest, though.
I think so. I think so. Otherwise, we're going to ask for the, you know, like last summer we had some water restrictions and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, we might hit that. So the draft is real. Okay, so Paul P says, I went for F5. f5 as my one pick for film. f6 is 2D, and f5 works with the D and G type lenses. I agree. Okay. David Lewis says my go-to is f6 and f100 simply because it works with Meta 35. So it's much simpler catalog film host in Lightroom. So Meta 35 is this little device which allows you to transfer metadata from your RAW onto your scan. So it will record the shutter speed setting and the aperture setting on there. So that's the thing. Nikon had the original device. I forgot the name of it. And it was effectively like a compact flash card with a cable and a little reader and things like this. So
it's pretty cool. Didn't know about that.
Even f100 can do that. So that's the thing, so the problem obviously now, a lot of those were discontinued. Meta 35 unfortunately has been discontinued as well. But for some of you who like to have metadata on everything, those are cameras to get really, if you can find those accessories again. Okay, so let's see. David Walker says, greetings from warm and sticky Chelmsford. Heat has stopped me from shooting lately, but thunderstorms forecast tonight and will hopefully freshen things up. Looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're going to go right to the end of the chart. So we are in sync with you. Andy Hayes says, any chance of firmware update in the near future for D850? There is a chance. The question is, what will they update? I think there's a chance of minor update for D850. I don't think it's going to be a significant update. All that goes into the Gen 3 cameras nowadays. Andre is saying hello from Warsaw, Poland.
All right.
And Dave Walker says, I would have to rate Z8 as a best camera. Still love my Z6, the original one, which is my go-to travel camera. Think updated to Z6 III, but Z6 delivers every time, and having Z8, no real need yet. Okay, so let's start with the early Generation 1 mirrorless camera. So Nikon released Nikon 1 system. It didn't go so well. We were crying for mirrorless camera for quite some time. And Nikon released Z6 and Z7 camera. So Z6 camera is a 24 megapixel camera, was designed pretty much for everyone, with a kind of suggestion that it would be the best camera for videographers as well. And Z7 was a 45 megapixel camera, similar sensor to D850, landscape camera, a little bit slower, but the same form factor as the 6 and 7. What are your thoughts on Gen 1 cameras?
Yeah, quite like the form factor. I like that it came out, two, so you had the options of picking a 25 megapixel and a 45 megapixel one as well. I think they're still great cameras, if I'm going to be honest. Like people mentioning the Z6 for video, it's still a good option. But they have come a long way, especially the Z6 III. The improvement in autofocus performance it's incredible. Suffers a little bit of dynamic range, but let's not get ahead of ourselves with the Z6 III. Yeah, I like them both. Although not having a dual card slot is a bit, if you're professional, is a bit risky.
So do you think at the time they were fairly competitive cameras with other brands? I'll tell you why. We've started the podcast around that time.
Right.
Me and Becky started the live stream around that time. And it was quite an interesting environment in terms of photographers' feedback.
What was out at the time with Canon and?
A lot of people said that they weren't competitive enough. That the autofocus wasn't up to date on those cameras.
I see.
There was a reason where people were asking for lenses. The lenses weren't coming out. We even had this a live stream version of Pilates session or where we were just releasing our stress, where we were all complaining, but then hopefully it would feel better. I remember sitting over here, and there was quite a bit of uproar. I'm going to, first of all, say thank you to Randall. He says, I bought Z9 first, then was using Z8 more and sold for someone else that would be using it. Love the firmware 301 update for Z8. And I also want to say thank you to Jay Blue, who says, happy Ultimate Camera Friday to Kon Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me tell you what I rate those cameras at. And I said this back then. Go find that.
It's documented on YouTube. It
is documented. Everything documented. Everything I said. I think there's at least 500,000 on YouTube with my.
Wow.
I personally think that those cameras weren't good enough for professional work.
Okay.
and there was no reason for professional photographers at the time to switch to mirrorless systems from camera like the 850. And for very simple reason, autofocus wasn't good enough, and the cameras were quite small. The lenses were fantastic, but we only have 1.8 lenses that came out. There's no 1.4, no wide aperture lenses. And for very simple reason, autofocus wasn't good enough. So it was a good original release, but I do feel that there was a lot of features missing. I'm still asking for that lock button at the back to lock the focusing point. I think there still should be a solution for it. But I think it wasn't enticing enough for Nikon to release those cameras for a lot of professional photographers. If you're a hobbyist and enthusiast, you know, if they were great cameras, obviously they were small and light. Again, the question was, why are we getting smaller cameras but the lenses are still quite big? That was another thing at the time. But I think as a first product, they were good.
Step in the right direction.
That's the thing. Looking at them at that time, from let's say this point of view, and obviously, you know, hindsight is, you know, 2020. But I don't think they were good cameras, you know, because we saw a significant improvement on Gen 3, but then a massive improvement on Gen 2, and a massive improvement in terms of Gen 3. I understand why those cameras need to happen, because Nikon build on top of that. But I feel like they were a little bit undercooked. So if I have to put them in a, let's say, in a tier list, I would put them, if we switch to that camera, you know, to our image again. So I would put them, if I would only remember how to do it.
Interesting.
I would put them into C list, really. So
that's fair.
That's the thing. That's it. I want to know what you think in the chat. I know that I think John Hughes didn't agree with me at the time, because he's a professional photographer, and he used those for commercial work. That's the thing. And he said that they were good enough for that, or you know, for that type of work. And I felt that I would choose the 850 over any mirrorless camera. And at the time, obviously, we do have access to a lot of cameras. I still had the 850 at the time, and I would shoot with the 850 most of my commercial work. I would have a Z6 as a backup. Which would never come out of my bag. But
were you taking the FTZ or?
Yes, obviously FTZ, and and I think at the time as well, if I would have to upgrade all my lenses, and there would be Trinity or 14-24, 24-70, and 1700 2.8, they weren't good. You know, like it would be too expensive for me to replace them, if you see what I mean. So that's the thing. And I still love my 85 1.4G, which is still I still have. That's the thing. I had, I think, Sigma 50 and 35 1.4s at the time, which Nikon had 1.8. What was funny to me as well, when Nikon was saying those are 1.8 lenses, they're superb, they're optically superb. Let's not beat around the bush about that. But they were 1.4. And they were saying it's almost as good as 1.4. Well, no, it's a depth of field. It's not the sharpness what I'm referring to. Anyway, so that was an issue marketing discussion at the time. Sorry, that was it Nick Harrison who was arguing with me on the Z6 and the 7 cameras? So that was 3 years ago. So in my opinion, they're going to about the C or D list. Nikon then released Z50. Right. And that was their first entrance to their DX range as well.
Do you remember the price roughly at the time?
I think it was about $999 ballpark, if I'm not mistaken.
Body only.
Yeah, so under £1,000.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think?
Z50, again, massive improvement of the second generation. It's kind of night and day. They seem to be getting bigger again, these cameras.
This was the only one that is small.
That's proper tiny, Did you mentioned the cameras being small and not looking professional. Did you ever get any kind of feedback like that? Because obviously people used to DSLRs and medium format cameras, and then you get these mirrorless cameras that are professional. But they look like they're so small. And
I think the perception has changed. I think the clients kind of learn to believe, to trust photographers, and know how technology moved from DSLRs. I think that's the reason for that. But at the time, something like the 850 with battery package would look in a mind of a person who hiring for a job, yeah. So looks like a professional. Looks is not the most important thing in the world, but it is something that was at the time. We're talking again 5 years ago, so pre-COVID even. So I think the perception was different. I mean, again, agree or disagree with me on this one. Let's have a look at your comments in the chat here. So Andy H says the form factor is a little small for my hand since I'm coming from f2, D200 and D850.
That's a common feedback, to be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Simon says I'm still on DSLR. We'll only jump to mirrorless for wildlife. That means the D500 replacement will be my first mirrorless camera.
Come on, Nikon, make it happen.
That's the thing. If we now have a full frame replacement for all cameras, including D850, and I think Z8 is a perfect D850 replacement. I personally think that the moment, the Z500 or Z90, whatever people call it, comes out,
name it.
You may, get those people over the line into switching into mirrorless system. Again, how big that group of people, I don't really know. But from comments even in under our videos, at least that group of people is quite vocal on that.
Yeah.
Paul P says Z6 and Z7 shots will eventually wear out. Well, they're still going strong. I'm not quite sure. So I mean, we have D70 and D40 still going strong. So how long will it take? It's really kind of it will depends on your use, I guess. But they do last very long. I mean, we still have Nikon Fs with good shots.
This.
So
we sent a rangefinder recently to Crichton, our repairman, and he opened it up and he said it was as good as it was when it just released and everything was working as it should. Shutter speeds were...
Just needs a bit of WD-40.
Just a little bit of,
A squirt. All right. Terrence Allen saying, I love stepping with my Z6 III and Z50 combo with my D750 as a backup.
Nice.
AMGOSUK says, I still use my Z7, albeit rarely. I think, for the use where you don't need super fast autofocus, Z6 and Z7 are very capable camera. We're focusing now on the sensor, which means you get technically sharper focus compared to DSLRs. But I think it's where the, let's say, sports news photography, things like this, wildlife photographers is where they would prefer to have fast autofocus. But if you are a landscape photographer, for example, portrait photographer, you generally should be fine. Absolutely.
No issues at all.
David Lou says 104 people watching, only 21 thumbs up. So we need some more thumbs up, please.
You can do at least 50 now.
Absolutely. Let's raise the bar. Chase says, I have to disagree. Owning Z9 and a couple of ZFs and many DSLRs, the files still stand up, and for landscape they were excellent, and the slow lenses were exceptional, wide open. Again, I think that's kind of I agree with you. What I mentioned as for landscape photography, they're absolutely fine. Sensors are fine. It's the autofocus where was the problem. And for me personally, D850 was a better camera for commercial work. That's at the time. So Tom says D850 was too big to me, and that's a counter argument for people who those cameras were too big. They're small. Again, we only can share our personal experience, and that's the thing. It's not a right thing. It depends on years of photography and what works for you. So. So Z6 is a perfect size, says Tom. Nick Harrison says Z8 is the only Nikon you need. And I do tend to agree with you on this one.
Can do it all, really, can't it?
Absolutely. There's a question in the chat. Simon's asking, do you think Sony are responsible for smaller pro cameras being normalized?
Yes, because their cameras are even smaller than the Nikon's. I guess they're hard to blame a bit for it.
So they've set the trend.
Yeah, no one's really asking for smaller cameras. I think people are just asking for, better...
Well, people are asking for smaller lenses, though. And we haven't seen many small lenses.
Yeah.
At least like looking at the Nikon system, all those lenses, even let's say looking at 51.8 and 35.1, they're still fairly large.
Yeah, they are light, though. They're not heavy lenses.
That's true.
But if you compare it to the AFS 51.8 or 1.4, they're much, much longer. It would be nice to see some smaller lenses.
I agree with you. So, Host Meto says, question, hey, where is my D3500? It should be somewhere at the top. Too many cameras, but actually, I do agree with you. I think D3500, and we just didn't have enough time to discuss this. When people say that, ooh, the D5300, I saw it on Reddit somewhere. It's like, oh, I still shoot on this, not very good D3500. I rephrase it to a normal language. It's Reddit after all, so social media. So I personally think that D3500, skip the guide mode and stuff.
Okay.
In 5000 series cameras, I think they were fantastic because they were small and light. D3500, I think, was 349 with 18-55 ER lens,
wow.
350, including VAT, right?
That's so cheap.
As low as 299 on sales. And for that money, you get 18-55 lens, which is plastic, but it's VR, and it's one of the sharpest kit lenses. B, it's very pocketable compared to bigger cameras, and the sensors were really, really good. D5300 had a GPS built in.
Wow.
Not many cameras had
not even
GPS.
the Z8 has it.
That's the thing. That's the thing. So I personally think that definitely Host Metal is 3000 series and 5000 series. I wouldn't put them in A tier, but I think they would be a good kind of B or C tier, and they definitely were amazing values for money.
Do you think Nikon is missing that these days?
Yes.
Something even cheaper than the Z50 and ZFs?
Yes, I think we went through the time. Obviously, the inflation has been quite massive over the years. So I don't think we'll hit the 299 anymore with the lens.
Yeah.
But I think we do need to get a camera, let's say, with the lens under 5,000. So under 500. 5,000. Under 5,000. Under 500 pounds. I think it's very important to have something like this. And it's just more to bring people to the market. However, when Nikon started with their mirrorless systems and released their Z6 and Z6 and Z7s, they said we are going for higher prices, higher margins. And that's where we had this argument again when we were running the podcast for quite some time. So that people say, no, they want to go this. And I said that, but I think this is still a market where it's like a Trojan horse. You need something fairly inexpensive to get people in, hook them on the brand. And then bring them up, So that's what I think is is quite important. So in terms of this, yes, definitely, I think 500 camera is important. So Z50 is a great camera, small and light. I think for what it was, it's amazing. I think the size was quite important there. USB-C. Not USB-C, micro USB cable, and I think that would make camera fairly obsolete, within a year or so, and a slightly smaller battery life. So that was kind of the only thing. But I think it's definitely good, let's say, B or C tier there. Then we had Z6 II and Z7 II cameras. So we've got into the Gen 2 cameras. They brought in a second processor.
Right.
Which, if you believe the marketing, was supposed to open in another dimension, of the camera and bring all sorts of goodies that we didn't expect with Gen 1 cameras.
Did they deliver?
It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It didn't happen. And I think marketing was one of the things, but also I think,
kudos to the marketing team at Nikon.
Absolutely. It's almost like, down the memory lanes, because it just brings me the point that some of the rumor websites were rumoring the false firmware, that this firmware for Nikon Z6 II will have autofocus improvements and things like this. And that rumor was there for about 2 years and nothing happened since then. So it's exploited a lot of goodwill for the consumer towards the brand of the cameras, and I think it done a lot of damage. Not in terms of Nikon didn't do anything. As I say, it's a rumor website, and that's where we had the discussion of saying, well, how ethical to do stuff like this, and especially for the rumor websites that's supposed to be reasonably good, So that's what we had at the time. But Z6 II and Z7 II did a lot of things under the hood. Definitely, the camera felt a little bit smoother. Autofocus has improved.
Dual card slot as well, right?
Yes. We've seen some, improvements in terms of just overall performance of the camera. But as I say, autofocus has improved not dramatically. But definitely we've noticed that, especially in low light, it was hunting less, it was locking the focus a little faster. Again, one of the complaints from people comparing to the other brands, and again, we are in the echo chamber for YouTube and social media, where people will compare it to other brands, say it wasn't good enough. But I personally think that if I would have to choose between Z6 and Z6 II, I would definitely go for Gen 2 camera. Absolutely no problem. We also had a lot more lenses out by that time, which made the system definitely a lot fuller and a lot more complete.
That's when Nikon kind of started to catch up with competition.
I would say so. I would say so. We definitely started to see a lot more. And Nikon was quite actually aggressive in terms of lens release. We saw something like 5 to 7 lenses a year.
That's incredible.
You know, which is quite cool. Let's have a look at your comments in the chat here. Where would you put Z6 II and Z7 II cameras if you have to look at our tier list?
Let's have a look. Maybe it's B tier.
B tier, okay.
Yeah. Especially, having third generation these days, 6.3.
So if you put Gen 1 in C, let's say, so then...
Gen 1 in C,
Gen 2 in B, okay.
Would you agree? Would you place it there as well?
I think so. I don't think they were quite A. They didn't quite ace it, but...
not quite there.
But I think they were definitely good cameras. And I think at that point, I was kind of moving off from my D850 towards that camera. So in DX range, we also saw ZFC.
Yes.
And there was a Nikon kind of play on retro cameras. So before we had Nikon DF, and it was the first retro camera. Obviously, very interesting marketing. They went for younger people with that. A lot of photographers who have nostalgia for film, they obviously got kind of sucked into that as well. But we saw a lot of different colors as well. So
which we have in stock.
That's the thing. What was your overall thinking on that camera?
I really like the ZFC. I use it around the shop quite a bit to do social media stuff. I kind of grabbed that in the 24 1.7 all the time. It's a combo that I enjoy. If you compare it to the big brother, which is a ZF, the build quality, it does feel a little bit cheaper, I'd say. But I really do enjoy shooting that camera. Partly because, I do shoot film cameras most of the time, so it just feels more familiar. And it's a joy to shoot.
You're not obsessed with the sensor size or anything?
I don't mind it how much. No.
Okay.
Yeah, you?
Because you see, DX whole system is on my F tier. But
oh, boy.
I'm just kidding.
It is what it is, yeah.
When this camera came out, and again, coming back to our Nikon Report podcast that Becky used to do, I said, well, it's a ZFC, but it's not a full-frame camera. So my first question was, when is the full-frame retro?
Patience.
It's going to come out.
Patience, Kon.
Yes, and, shut up and take my wallet. Take my money.
Take my money.
So when ZF came out, I bought ZF. So, it was a reason, very specific reason for me. But it was a very popular camera. Nikon had, different colors as well, which apparently sold quite well according to their sales data. They released the black version of Nikon ZFC as well.
Yeah.
Do we still have the second-hand ZFC?
Yes, we do.
Fantastic.
At least a couple of units.
We've sold a couple, and then
yes, they are kind of flying off the shelf. So yeah.
So if you want a different colored ZFC or black ZFC, we have them in our second-hand departments with a very minimal shutter actuations.
Give me your top 3 colored ones. You can include the chrome and the black.
For me, the black one would be the top choice. The chrome would be the second choice, and I don't have third place because
third place.
I just I'm
I'll tell you what, the one that looks at the Lapita, it's not that bad.
Lapita, yes. I think it's a bit brownish. Too bright. I would go a little bit like more muted. But I know what you mean. I agree with you on that. I like classy things.
Black and chrome, can't go wrong with it.
That's right. So tell me.
Do you have a question as well? When that camera came out, obviously Fuji, the X100 series has kind of exploded.
Yes.
Were they around at the time? Were they popular? Is that why Nikon kind of, released this?
You know what I can tell you? That's looking at the sales data.
Yeah.
Nikon definitely took a chunk out of sales of Fuji XF system, which would include similar cameras like XT, I think 4 at a time or something like this, you know. It didn't exactly compete with that because Nikon DX system doesn't have vibration reduction in the sensor. The Fujifilm has on their more expensive models and things like this. So, but we could see that. And that has increased with the release of full-frame Nikon ZF, which we will come back to it. But actually, let's come to it now because, well, no. Let's wait. We have the Z5 as well.
Okay, yes.
Z5. Before we will go there, let's just quickly look at your comments in the chat. I want to hear your opinions on what we've discussed at this moment. So let's have a look. Andy H says, reached more than half of the listeners hitting the like button. Keep on hitting it. Thank you so much. Simon Hopkinson says, I have the AFP to 55 lens. Fantastic. And it's actually phenomenally sharp. I agree with you. The only thing I didn't like of AFP compared to AFS, if I'm not mistaken, something was missing this. What was it? It was a smaller lens, but there was something that wasn't there. I'll come back to you on this one. But optical design is the same. I remember there was a reason why I preferred AFS over AFP, but AFP was definitely a smaller version of that. So definitely, I would say a lot less breakable because the AFS version was longer, so it feels like if you bump it on table, because of the plastic mount, it would be a little bit more fragile. But AFP was kind of short, especially in collapse mode. So I feel like it would withstand a small knock. Terence Allen says, I would like an up-to-date version of the compact Coolpix S9900 with 24 megapixel sensor and a GPS purely for my travels with my family. My old one has focus issues. I think Nikon should look into the point-and-shoot cameras.
Oh man, they're making a big comeback.
Absolutely. Well, Sony just released a new version of their
RX series?
R3 something, yes. I forgot the name, but basically they updated the sensor. It's 35 mils ICE lens built in, and it's 61 megapixel sensor. So and it's 4,200 pounds, which is more expensive than the Fujifilm medium format GFX.
That's crazy. That's a compact camera.
Compact, yeah. So I assume autofocus on Sony is going to be better on this one, but it's an interesting one. I personally think Nikon should release a full frame compact or DX compact built-in built-in prime lens, but also I think Coolpix cameras like let's say S9900 I think has the reason to exist. Nikon never released their DL system, which we saw a preview of, and it was luxury compacts with a fairly narrow zoom. I think it was like 35 to 80 or something, but they were wide aperture zooms. There were two models, ultra wide angle and the medium range ones. They're supposed to be about 1,200 pounds each. We saw a preview, we saw how they look like. They were never announced.
What happened there?
They decided that the market wasn't big enough for the time, and I think at that point where the phones kind of started to take over, and that's the reason. But I think we're in a new kind of round now, and a new kind of age where people come back to those cameras.
This is going, it's going full circle. Absolutely. I blame TikTok.
That's true. David is in chat. Hello. He says, I protest. The F6 should be A and B at best, F5 and N75 at S tier.
Okay, you got to give us a reason.
I understand the 5, but N75, no, I mean, to be honest with you, David shoots weddings with it, so that's the reason for that. I can understand his reasoning for that, but that's it's our personal TV. So, it's definitely not objective. I think we should have a big vote maybe at some point where we're going to get a sample of, let's say, 1,000 people voting for the best cameras. So, that would be quite interesting. All right, so let's look at more of your comments. J Blue says, personally, I would like an update for W300, which is I think the action camera, underwater Coolpix camera when I'm snorkeling.
Lila has one.
Yes.
It's got a cool fisheye effect.
But it's not a Nikon one. She's got a... It's not a Nikon. It's one of those...
It's a different one.
It's a Ricoh.
No, it's not. It's
or Olympus. So Ricoh and Olympus, they do those tough cameras. Nikon used to do those. W300 in orange, that would be my pick.
I think Steve has one. There you go.
Steve had a Gray had one.
Gray had one as well.
So he loves diving. Yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting choice. Hot Smetter says, well, back when D3500 was brand new, I got the kit for 350 quid, 120 quid for 35 1.8 GTX lens, amazing lens.
Great lens.
And later 7300 for 320 quid. These times would never come back. That's the thing. Everything now, you want to upgrade, everything's a lot more expensive, and there's a reason why second-hand market is thriving.
Yeah.
And DSLRs are still selling well.
Yeah.
Swaraj says, I'm an amateur. I love my ZF and D850. I do miss the intuitive capabilities of D500. My son uses it now, waiting for mirrorless substitute for D500. Or the higher angler says, I have been told many times I'm not normal. Must be true. Recently bought Z52 and I have a very cheap cell phone. I personally think that all the higher language that Z52 is fantastic camera, and it's definitely a good upgrade even on Gen 1 camera, which we will discuss. And I don't take really pictures on my cell phone or mobile phone, as we say it in UK, unless it's to document some things that just needs to be documented. You know, scan documents and things like this. I don't use my mobile phone as a camera that much, again, unless it's a party, things like this, you know. So
well, you seem to always have a camera on you. You got your compacts, 35 and 28.
And you know what? Even if I'm at party, I'll get one of those, you know, whatever plastic lens cameras, and get a lot more fun.
Oh, they're so much cooler.
That's the thing. But again, we all different, all high angle, and we all know that yes, a lot of people, like let's say my wife, she doesn't need a camera. Her mobile phone does everything you need. And let's say iPhone, I think, is the most used camera in the world, isn't it? Yeah,
I suppose so, yeah. Sure, and they are getting good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure combined Android probably will take over, but just as a brand.
As a brand, probably.
That's the thing.
But and they're shooting, you know, films with it 28 years later. Of course, they had some huge lenses in front of them, but...
That's the thing. Yeah, that's right. The rig for 28 years later.
Yeah.
I think they were talking. It was about 100,000 or something. And it's basically there was a camera there, and it was the rest was like it's the lens that you put in front of it and everything. So it wasn't shot with the iPhone lens. You know, haven't seen that movie yet.
Oh man, you're missing out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously watched 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, which was weaker than the first movie in my opinion.
I agree.
You know, but the first movie, 28 Days Later, because it was shot on DV cameras, didn't age well at all.
It looks like it was shot over potato.
It was 480.
So bad.
Yeah, it was 480 digital camera, effectively. It wasn't shot on film. I mean, some parts were shot on film.
The ending.
The ending, And I think he said that the reason why they shot on film the engine is just to kind of project this feeling of things are going to get better. And that's the reason, because it was all kind of grimy at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, so because dynamic range is not there. As I say, I tried to rewatch it recently on my 4K OLED, and everything was just bleached out. It was just, it didn't age well at all. That's the thing. Compared to, let's say, movies that were shot on film and did a full rescan recently for 4K or 8K and things like this. They still look fantastic.
I heard a different theory, though, that they shot the ending in film high definition to make it seem like a dream sequence.
That could be
kind of throw people off as well, but it came from the director.
Absolutely. Here we go. I mean, here's our cinematography discussion. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, so let's move on to ZF.
Yes.
And ZF, what we called it's not exactly a Gen 3 camera. It sits kind of in between Gen 2 and Gen 3. It is better in terms of autofocus performance than Z6 II and Z7 II, but it doesn't quite reach the max of the, let's say, Z6 III.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Nikon ZF?
I love the ZF. Especially coupled with Voigtlander is my go-to setup to borrow from Grace.
Are you my twin brother?
I am. Last week we agreed on all the you know, the rankings and stuff. So I want to be like Kon when I grow up. No, it's a joy to shoot. Again, coming from a film camera background, I guess I'm a bit biased there. But yeah, it's just, I find the autofocus fast enough when I do use autofocus lenses. It's just, yeah, for my needs, I don't shoot sports or wildlife. It's, mostly portraiture. So
What are your to-go lenses on this?
the 40 f1.2 or the
Voigtlander?
Voigtlander. I like the Nikon 24-20 f4. Very versatile. What else? The 51.8 is just so sharp. It's incredible. The Nikon. But yeah, the one I usually go for is the Voigtlander 40 f1.2.
It's amazing lens.
Yeah,
It's amazing lens. I can't agree enough with you because you're spot on this one. I think it ticks so many boxes.
Yeah.
It's the camera that Nikon ZF should have been, really.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah, they really got that right.
They finally solved the issue with dials and knobs. They figure out the ISO use via firmware update. Didn't come first.
They got there eventually.
It's a perfect camera for me to use vintage lenses on, not just Nikon. I have a bunch of Voigtlander Leica mount lenses that I use on my ZF, and they perform very well. Not as good as would be on digital Leica because of slightly thicker sensor, but still perform really, really well.
Do they communicate with the ZF? Do they have the contact points?
Well, it's not. It's just a basic adapter. It doesn't pass on any EXIF data, but it does the job.
Sure.
You now can put also focus adapters as well, which will effectively move lens forward and backward. Instead of rotating the focusing ring. So you could do that as well. And me and Becky, we've tested one of those. I think it was Megadap or TechArt adapters. So amazing lenses, but if I had to pick one, it would be 41 to Voigtlander for me. I do want to get 28 1.5 Voigtlander as well. I think it's an amazing lens.
Pretty cool.
However, Nikon 28 and 40mm pancakes are absolutely amazing. I really love them.
Great options.
Very inexpensive. I'm going to pick up that 40 that we have secondhand, 40 f2.
Absolutely. Let me know. I'll give you a great price.
Yeah, Nikon has also 26mm.
Yes, the little pancake. Super sharp, tiny.
We're sharper than 28. It's a little bit wider. Still prefer 28 myself.
For the focal length as well.
Not chasing the overall sharpness there, but if you do have ultimate small pancake lens, that would be the one to go for. I think ZF is really kind of a perfect camera. Would I prefer 45 megapixel sensor on it? Yes. And I think that's where ZF2 will come in at some point. I'm sure that Nikon will release a replacement for this camera eventually.
It's too successful not to
that's the thing.
Do it again,
I think we are definitely all the silver Nikon ZF, and I can put my money on it that we'll see one, probably going to be Nikon Store exclusive, but I think it because money is on the table. I think we should have a full-on brass version as well. I think Nikon should treat this camera as a as a kind of like a Leica. Sometimes they release those kind of limited edition ones with this very small. I think Nikon should do this full-on brass version, not just open bottom, but full-on, heavier camera. Charge extra for it, all sorts of things like this. I think we should be able to do. Nikon definitely, I think the opportunity is there. But if you're gonna see the ZF2 at some point, I think 45 megapixel sensor.
Is that what you want to?
To be honest, 24 is good enough. But once you buy 45, you don't really need to upgrade at this point.
My God.
It's kind of future-proofs you for quite a lot. And to be honest with you, 24 does probably 95% of everything. But it's sometimes you want to crop, and that's where 45 gives you that room for that.
It definitely helps.
That's the thing. But it's a good sensor. But also, autofocus is much better. Compared to Z6 and Z7 II.
Massive improvement for sure.
That's
the build quality compared to the ZFC as well is night and day.
Yes.
The bodies.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, would you prefer, if you could choose, the ZF2 with the 45 megapixels or a rangefinder mirrorless style ZF camera? Asking the real questions.
It's a tough one.
Because I know you love your rangefinders.
I would have both.
You can't have both.
That's the thing. I would have both. I think I would love to have Nikon ZF rangefinder camera, but I think ZF would still go as a top choice, and it just comes down to usability of lenses and the SLR. Well, SLR format is not really a mirrorless format, but lens and things like this. But ZF rangefinder would be. I'll tell you why. It's just as simple as I shoot film, and I have plenty of rangefinders in film. You know, and I would buy Nikon digital ZF just to support them. Really, you know, that's the thing. But I think ZF, even let's say, if I have to choose now between ZF and ZF2 with 45 megapixel, imaginary ZF2.
Okay.
I would still choose ZF as a first port, and I would definitely put it in S tier. What about you?
Oh, S tier, S tier, yeah, 100%.
All right, so we start to talk about cameras we like for very that's the thing. Paul P said, what happened to custom shutter sounds? Don't know, Paul P, to be honest with you. It wasn't on my mind. Didn't we get them in or not?
Custom?
Yeah, I'll explore this, Paul P. Custom shutter sound, where you could put meow shots in, things like that. Wasn't Z9 supposed to do that? It was definitely fun news at the time. That's the thing. Once we stopped doing the news podcast, I don't, you know.
Yeah, I don't know what to go for these news anymore. That's why I didn't know about this one.
That's the thing. I kind of read the major ones, but it's an interesting one. Chase says, I'd love to see monochrome 45 or 61 megapixel Nikon ZF.
Wow.
So these are customer base for monochrome sensors. Again, I haven't tried one.
That'd be really cool.
It would be cool. I haven't tried one, so because I haven't tried the monochrome camera, so probably Pentax K3 is probably the most affordable one of them all. I'm a bit on defense because I've never tried it, so I don't understand what's the difference is. And I know that a lot of you know, kind of pointed out in the past, so I understand the argument for that. Until I try the camera, I won't form my own opinion. So I'll leave it at be like, that's the thing. I'm reserved right now about that. I think
Nikon just has to release one so you can try it and have an opinion on it.
Because in my book is, if you want to shoot proper black and white,
here we go.
White film. Not the XP2 C41, a proper black and white film. I love
HP5.
my silver, you know. Oh, HP5 is classic. Yeah, that's the thing. Definitely want to try this Adex 50. I haven't tried it myself. That's on my list. Okay, Randall says Voigtlander BA342A. I don't know what this. Nocturne 41.2 aspherical lens for f-mount. Use the B&H. Just get it out for Sony, Nikon, or Canon. There's argument for this that some Voigtlander lenses don't perform as well on any bodies, Canon, Sony, Nikons, because of the thicker sensors. You know, it's just thicker stock. So that's the reason why we have native lenses, which are a bit optimized. Performance varies from lens to lens. Some of them perform better. Some of them perform not as well. So keep that in mind. So really, there's a lot of forums. Fred Miranda is one of them where people try different lenses. Let's say Voigtlander, Leica mount lenses on other, let's say, Nikons and Sonys, and they share their opinions and things like this. So definitely, before you do that, do your research on this. All right, let's see more of your comments in the chat here. Terence Island says, my first DSLR was Nikon D80, sold to a friend who is still using it. Fantastic.
It's still going.
D80 is D200 sensor, CCD sensor. Yeah. It's fantastic. I moved to D7000 at the time, which I still have. Chase says, I think a dedicated camera puts you in a different headspace, completely ignoring any possible quality difference. Absolutely. That's the thing. I think for us, because we have access to those cameras, we can kind of compare it. Yeah. But for a lot of people, they buy a camera and that's a good camera for another 2-3 years at least. You know, that's the thing. And in terms of this, like, yeah, I do buy, so like, let's say, I build myself a PC. It's good for 3 to 5 years, and I'll build another PC. You know, that's the thing. And I'm not looking into that space and see what the new processor has been received.
Not worried about it.
Card has been released. Exactly. Yeah. Once I'm ready, I'll do my research. That's the thing. Obviously, for us here, any new announcements, we have chance to play with them.
Yeah, very lucky.
Absolutely. Okay. Chase says ZF is a banger. It's not for everyone, but what a machine it is. Such a soul. That's a shutter noise and kick. Shutter noise and kick. Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, it's satisfying for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Rowan says ZF is my next purchase.
Nice.
It's a great camera. That's the thing. It's a great camera. I think it's that's the thing. Z8 is, for me, is probably the ultimate. The top, the ultimate. But ZF is a fun camera.
Oh man, yeah, it's just fun to shoot. Conversation started.
Yeah. It comes down to what camera encourages you to take it out and go do some photography.
That's it.
That's the thing. That's the thing. And obviously, if you bought yourself Z8 and it's the only camera you have, I'm sure it will. You will be excited to use it. That's the thing.
If I had a Z8, I'd be pretty excited as well.
Would you trade in Z8 for Z8?
Oh man.
Here you go. Let's talk about
man.
If someone would tell you, I wouldn't say straight swap because you would say yes. But
yes.
Let's say you trade in your Z8, you pay additional, I don't know, 500 to $1,000.
Okay.
Would you get a Z8?
I'm gonna get crucified for this, but I would say maybe.
And that's why you can't trust anyone on the internet, folks.
Oh, I'd say yes. Objectively, the Z8 it's a superior camera, like any aspect. I think ZF super fun to shoot, but yeah, I'd love to have a Z8 as well. Especially if I was a working professional photographer, I would pick that any day. What would you do? Would you trade in your ZF for Z8? It's a tough question.
I have access to both. Z8 is a commercial work camera.
Okay.
So it's amazing for what it does, and it's the camera I can trust. It's a tool.
Yeah. It's a tool.
ZF is a camera that gets me excited, it tickles me in the right places, encourages me to go to, and enjoy photography. It's a personal, when you go and you take, it's not like for me, I wouldn't use it for commercial shoot. It doesn't mean you can't, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's capable camera enough, things like that. And it's like wedding photographers. Mm-hmm. We know a few wedding photographers who shoot with their ZFs because they look vintage.
Yeah.
So, again, it doesn't mean it can't be used for anything else, but
I think just considering the cameras I already have, and the fact that I can borrow a camera from display, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But to own, the Z8 is the ultimate camera for me.
And that's where we move to a Gen 3 camera. Again, we are blabbing so long that
what time is it?
Wow. So let's discuss Gen 3.
Sure.
Z9 came out. And we're coming back to the first comment of Paul P, who says Z9 is the ultimate camera. It was the first in its line. It sold more than any other camera in the same top spot like D6, D5, D4.
Yeah, incredible.
And there's few reasons for this. First of all, groundbreaking autofocus features, proper build body that we didn't have before, professional build body. So, which means we had Z6 and Z9, which were smaller cameras.
Petite,
So suddenly we've got a proper built-in camera, which was still smaller than D6 and D5, but grippy enough where you could shoot in a portrait mode. You had second shutter release button there.
Look like the real deal.
That's the thing. And
bigger battery. At
the same time, the A1, which Sony released, I think, a few months prior, was £6,200, and Nikon came out at $5,500. So they undercut the competition.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it was better than competition, just because of the form factor and things like this. So it sold a lot more than Nikon expected. And I think that's the reason why we didn't see really any other camera release for quite some time after this, because a lot of even our viewers, a lot of folks bought their camera because it was so groundbreaking in terms of technology and things like this. And in my opinion, that a lot of people who wouldn't normally buy this type of camera also bought it. And that's why we saw some people switching to Z8 later on and things like this. What are your thoughts on this? People in the chat, people in the comments who are looking at this after the fact, and what do you think about this?
Definitely an S-tier camera as well. Just a Z8 with better battery life and dual CF Express with XQD. Obviously, I wasn't a Graze at the time to experience, like the camera coming out. But yeah, it's incredible.
It's
amazing.
It's on. We've sold so many cameras.
Didn't you sell so many that Nikon sent you a cake shaped as a Z9? I've seen the picture of this somewhere.
I think Nikon Z9 paid my salary for so long. We've in terms of sales, it's definitely outsold probably than any other cameras. So let's see at your comments in chat. John Hughes says Z9 is an amazing tool and still getting an update. Exactly. Again, Gen 3 cameras, and Z9 was the first camera, was in a way a first camera to show that Nikon told us that we're gonna continue upgrade your camera for quite some time. If you bought your Z9 on day one when it was released, so many years ago now, you are still getting update, and you're on the firmware version 5.1, I think.
That's incredible.
You know, and we've seen quite a lot of features have been released to this camera. And what it first of all told us that Gen 2 cameras didn't have enough capacity in terms of processing speed and things like this to have such fast autofocus and do a lot what the Gen 3 cameras does. And that kind of groundbreaking hardware and the processor allowed us to do this. And we could add features, more features, you know, with every firmware release. And I think because of this, I have to agree. I personally, I have it in A tier, and I'll tell you why. But I agree with you in terms of a significance of this release. I think it comes with it in S tier. Nick Harrison says Z9 is far too big, Z8 better size. Smaller cameras are more effective to me. Want a Z9 in a Z6 form, shooting all day, needs muscles. Jay Blue says, I love my Z9 and it's rarely for me, but at this time Z8 is superior camera. And that's the reason. That's the reason. So we've obviously sometime later, Nikon released Z8. And for me, Z8 is effectively a home run because, you know, it was a fantastic value for money, first of all. It's cheaper, it's smaller, it's big enough for the cameras I personally like.
Same.
I call it medium size. It's, as I say, again, I was advocating for bigger cameras for a very long time. You know my track record, so it hasn't changed. I do love, if we're talking about commercial work camera, professional camera, the ones that you use for job, I prefer a bigger size compared to Z6 and Z7 cameras. This is me. This is just, you know, I'm a bit old school on this. Again, we discussed it before, F100, D200, D300, 500, D800 series cameras, ended up with D850. So for me, Z8 was the camera where I say, okay,
it's a sweet spot, isn't it?
It's a sweet spot. And, you know, $5,500 for Z9 is a lot of money. At that point of my life, I didn't shoot as much in the studio, so I didn't really need a second shutter release button. And on my D850, I always had a grip where I could remove when I shoot on location, when I would do events, but in the studio, I could attach the grip. You know, now
flexibility.
Exactly. Grip for Z8 is not exactly super fancy grip, but it's functional.
It works.
You know, so but it's there, and it's effectively, in my opinion, mini Z9. It's certain features are not there, let's say, or some things he's not doing so well.
When it came out, it was lacking quite a few features, but with again firmware updates, integrated bird tracking, and just keeps getting better.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I prefer it because of the form factor over the Z9 as well.
So would you say Z8 goes to 08 S tier?
I think so. I think it has to.
Both. Do you think that Z9 is also S tier?
I think I feel bad not putting it up there. It's not personally. I wouldn't, but I think objectively you have to put it there. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like we're trying to make our personal list, but then if you look at significance of things, you kind
of D700. We had to rate it very high, so there's reasons for it.
Yeah, like Nigel says, Z8 killed Z9 resale value.
I'll be honest. We saw a lot of people trading the Z9s in for the Z8s, especially at the beginning. And the main thing people comment on is just the size of the cameras.
Well, so we have a new viewer with us. His name is Steve Lamb.
Steve Lamb?
Yes, I heard he's a technical advisor at Grays of Westminster. And he
shoots Canon, right?
Yeah, one of those weird brands, you know. So he says EL 18C battery wins it. And obviously the battery life of Nikon Z9 is enormous.
Yes,
you know, and
it definitely wins on that.
Exactly. So they can't compete with that. Absolutely agree with you on that one. And effectively you kind of, you know, it's like you just leave it there and you forget about it, and it still shoots. We're talking about thousands and thousands of shots. Z8 is there as well, but I always have at least 2 spare batteries with me on the day.
You need them.
Never need the second, rarely need the second one, to be honest with you. But generally, 2 batteries go through. Third one is always there. Charging in camera, those new features as well, which are quite useful.
Quite handy, yeah.
Absolutely. Craig C says, everything feels smaller and lighter compared to my old Nikon film kit, F3, FM2 with both drives. While the size is comparable, the weight is definitely, I agree with you. It's, Craig, because everything is metal there, now they use light alloys and things like this, so they do feel, I think Z9 is definitely even a lot lighter than D6, in my opinion, so it's quite nice. Jay says, I've shot through in EL18C battery in a day on several occasions. How many shots is this, Chase? Let me know. Regage says Z8 over Z9 and video killed the radio star. Chase says Z8 is not for me. So this is definitely one of those kind of polarizing moments, but I think we're going to leave those cameras in S tier and we're going to move on to Z6 III camera.
Ooh.
So that one came out later in the game as well. What are your thoughts on this?
I love the massive improvement with the autofocus. The dynamic range is, not the best, as most people know.
Well,
but
it was advertised for video guys as well.
Yeah, great hybrid camera as well.
That's the thing, and obviously, video is where we, if you read Nikon marketing, it's like video where it's at apparently. So we have photographers here, so we don't really know. I'm gonna ask Chloe at some point.
Yeah, our videographer.
She'll probably agree with Nikon on this one.
These days, I was talking to Steve about this.
These days, yeah,
you're required to do both as a professional.
That's true.
Yeah, that's why they come out with cameras that are great at doing both things. So yeah.
That's true. Well, David says, how many upgrades do people really need? The only thing Nikon needs is true G500 replacement and then tap into rangefinder market. David, me and you, we're going to discuss all this
Red is mine.
With the pints in our hands. So that's the thing. Everyone is different. That's the thing. How many upgrades do we need? It's an interesting question because if you look on the internet, we need upgrades now or yesterday, and those cameras should be, should have future technologies built in by now, But another thing about this is obviously some of us do enjoy using film cameras and taking great shots with it. So that's the thing. Everyone is different. Andy is in the chat, and Andy is the person who we argued about the high margin, high prices and high margin back in the day. He says, you guys who prefer the Z8 over Z9 do not shoot wildlife in 600, 400 mil and 8K RAW videos.
You're right. You're totally right.
But we are different people, and that's the difference. Everyone is different. And for Andy, Z9 would be the ultimate camera,
It makes sense.
That's the thing. We don't advocate that one is better than another one. It's all our personal choices, and from our personal use, everyone have different needs. That's the thing. But how many of you do shoot wildlife and 8K videos? Also is the question. Exactly. So that's the thing. But I think that the reason those cameras exist is very important, and I think that Nikon is addressing different market, so it's used for a lot of photographers. And
space for both.
That's the thing. So if there's a need for Z9 for wildlife shots with long lenses, Nikon has an answer for it. And I think probably Z9 Mark II is probably in the pipeline at some point.
That's what I think as well. Seeing all these updates, firmware updates for the Z8, it's nothing for the Z9.
Exactly.
How long has it been now?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. I mean, we can Google Nikon Z9 release.
5 years.
5 years. Let's have a look. It was released on December 28th. Yes, right in time for Christmas, 2021.
Who knows?
In 2025.
Christmas 2025.
So it's 3.5 years now. It's going to be 4 years in December. So, definitely, I think something is going to come soon. Now, where would you put Z6 Mark III?
I'd say it's an A tier.
A tier.
Oh, actually, what else do we have on the A tier?
I mean, we've got quite a few cameras. I personally think it's a fantastic camera for what it does. So I put it in A tier myself.
Yes, that's fair.
It's fair? Okay. The last camera we're going to discuss is Z5 Mark II. What do you think?
I think it's interesting that the 6.3 came out, and then the 5.2, very similar camera, probably aimed at still shooters a little bit more. It's great. Again, great upgrade on the original. Keep saying this, but the autofocus capabilities improved a lot, which is the most noticeable thing. Yeah.
I mean, my opinion about this is when it first came out, there wasn't much excitement on the internet.
There wasn't at all. No.
That's the thing. But the reason for that is the budget and and the price. There's a reason why those cameras need to hit certain price point.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, in terms of technology built into this camera, under the right price, so we've got our X-Speed 7 processor, and autofocus performance is there. Yes, we don't have a little top screen. Yes, the video is not as good, but overall performance for still shooters is absolutely amazing under the price. So, in my opinion, I think it's a slow burner for the camera. It didn't sell as well as S6 III.
It started to pick up a couple months later.
But that's the thing. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And from that point of view, we see how well this camera sells, and we can tell that it sells really well and steadily, and because of that, we can see that I think it will continue to do what it does. The price, especially on offer, like at the moment, is under the promotion with Nikon,
£90 discount.
Exactly. So overall, it will continue to sell. It's like Z5 was selling really well. I think it reached £999 for the body at some point. So I think Z5 II will continue that.
Do you think that I feel like there's a lot of customers that bought the Z6 III that if the Z5 II was out at the time, they would have preferred that camera?
Sorry, say it again, please.
So I think a lot of people that bought the Z6 III, because that came out before, would have preferred the Z5 II, especially a lot of still shooters.
I think still shooters perhaps, but Z6 III does a lot for video.
Sure.
That Z5 II doesn't do.
It's got that semi-stack sensor as well.
That's the thing. And to be honest with you, Z5 II has built-in and raw SD card, which is incredible. It's the first camera to do that, especially under the price. But Z6 III
underrated.
Is an ultimate hybrid camera. Unless you need to go 8K with Z8 or Z9 cameras. But if you're happy with 6K and raw, the Z6 III will do the job. Let's have a look at our final list.
Sure.
So, F tier, we had Nikon One system. We explained you why. I mean, Seth suggested last week in the chat, Key Mission 360. I didn't put it there because I don't consider them to be cameras. So,
wow.
Well, we're not discussing, let's say, those type of cameras.
Sure, that makes sense.
But if you have to discuss one, Nikon One system probably would be my failure. D600 is in the list, and the tier list.
For obvious reasons.
For reasons of a shutter recall thingy, so
oil spot shutter issues.
Absolutely. Do you have anyone on the F or E tier that we can add to that?
E. I really don't like the Coolpix cameras, if I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know if we graded them already.
It's not fair, is it?
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
I'm the problem, I think.
Okay, on the D list, what do we have there? I think we had N75 there, from what I remember.
F90 as well, is that?
What was it?
Hard to see. I think it's an F90.
Okay, I think F90 could go to a C, but...
leave it there.
All right, so C tier, we got Nikon FA, got Nikon D4.
D4.
Yes, and again, D4... I don't know why D4 is there.
Yeah,
that's wrong.
Why.
That's wrong.
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake. I don't know how it's up there. Remove that. Forget about it. Erase it. G3000, 5000 series sitting in C. So this is quite useful. Now B tier. This is a lot more. This is where it kind of becomes the places that becomes a little bit more arguable.
Yeah.
You got Nikon SP, Nikon F, Nikon F5, Nikon F4, and Z5.
Yeah. It's fair.
Either of them could go to tier A as well, in my opinion. We have a lot of cameras there.
A lot of iconic cameras. especially the F.
Yeah.
Kind of interchangeable, but
Absolutely. I think if we have to do S list, probably all of those cameras in B and A could end up in S tier as well.
Could be argued.
That's the thing. But in A list, we got Nikon FM2, Nikon F3, F100, D780, and Z6 III. And our S tier, the ultimate cameras, is FM3A, F6, D850, D750, D500, Z9, and Z8.
I like it.
You like it?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, you're happy with
did
that.
a good job.
Except of G4 in the C list.
That was weird. I don't know what we're thinking.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. I can't remove it now, but definitely overall, I think that's what it is. Let's look at your comments in the chat, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Steve Lamb, to be honest, I like them all. Yeah. Sorry, just pause.
Where is it? Where is it? I don't see Steve's.
The one below that.
Oh yeah,
Steve.
I like them all.
I got a question for Steve. Steve, are you happy with the FA being in C tier? I know you're a big fan. I tried to argue with him, but he wouldn't have it.
Well, Steve also has pretty much every single Z camera that exists in the world.
He does.
So maybe not DX cameras, but maybe even DX, but definitely full frame. That's the thing, and he loves them all. That's the thing. And what happens with Steve? Camera comes out. He said, "Nah."
That's exactly. He's like, "No, not for me." And then
1 month later, I see him with that camera.
Yes.
Like, so it definitely grows on him. Simon Hodgson says D500 could be Z5 II with 24 megapixels APS-C. I think, I don't know, like for camera like D500, I feel like Z8 form factor needs to be there with the DX sensor, of course, because it would be designed to be paired with the very long lenses, and that's where that balance would be a little bit better, in my opinion. Again, camera design for pros, to be used on the bigger bodies. Like, let's say, technically, some people would add battery packs so to make it look more like a Z9 as well. So maybe we start with Z500 in the ZA body, and then hopefully that technology trickles down later on. So I think it's it's going. Be moving. Okay, it's crashed.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna refresh it now for 1 second. Let's see. Okay. My YouTube just crashed, so I'm just waiting for it to refresh a little bit. Thank you, John. We appreciate it. Ron says, happy to see D500 at the top. And that's like none of us D500 users. Again, we're talking about significance of those. Yeah. Yes, Dan, happy, answers Steve Lamb. Terence says, I would like an FRS. Cheetah Kid says, I have Nikon D4. Terence had 2 F90X.
Underrated.
Well, I think we're going to wrap up with Greg's comments, who says, I still plan to pick up Z5 II to add to my Z7 DF and D700 list. Slow burn is the correct way to describe my increased interest in Z5 Mark II. Yes, slow and steady. That's the thing. This camera will be a fantastic seller for Nikon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We've managed to wrap up our ultimate personal tier list. Thank you very much, Dan.
Pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Let us know what are your favorite cameras in the comments under this video. We'd like to hear that. What's going to happen next week? I don't know. Last actually thing to mention is the black and white photography challenge. The submission deadline is end of August. We're not going to do anything in July because time flies and just and we all need holidays and things like this. But if you'd like us to if you like me, well, I would like you to send me some of your black and white photography submissions, and we're going to show it all at the end of the month. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
All the best. All right.